Meanwhile, Eli Manning, who is coming off a season where he won the Walter Payton Man of the Year award and has about as squeaky clean an image as they come, is now in the news for fraud accusations. An email sent by Manning in 2010 to a Giants equipment manager asked for 2 helmets that can pass as game used. Manning's email was allegedly sent after he was told he needed to supply game used equipment to fulfill a marketing contract with a memorabilia dealer. Now, 3 dealers are suing the Giants, Manning, and others. This first reported by the New York Post. A spokesperson for the law firm that represents the Giants said the emails were taken out of context and that Eli Manning is well known for his integrity and that this is just the latest attempt, misguided attempt for that matter, to defame his character. Now, last year, Eli's brother Peyton was among the athletes cited in a lawsuit against the University of Tennessee last year stemming from his alleged sexual assault allegations back in 1996. And his name came up in an Al Jazeera report claiming HGH allegations, but Peyton was eventually cleared of any wrongdoing in the HGH investigation. On that note, we welcome in Will Kane. Hello.
Hello.
Good to see you. I want to start with Max on this. Max, do you think we should start looking at the first family of football differently?
Look, you know I'm a big Eli Manning fan and a Giants fan, and the facts have not fully come out here, and a person's reputation is difficult to repair once it's been damaged if people speak recklessly about them. So I think the facts, should come out before people draw conclusions about what's happening. That said, the fact that it is even being reported, it's no crime that the Manning family likes money. They come from some money. Their father played, and they like to make it. I mean, you can't turn on the TV in the last 10, 15 years without one of the Manning brothers selling you something. Pizza, cars, insurance, whatever it is, they're selling you something all the time. And that's fine, nothing wrong with that. What the problem is here for Eli is that there's a sense that there's a racket going on. That, what's being reported is that he's making money and not delivering the goods, or somehow potentially the charge, I guess, would be defrauding people. And because he makes so much money playing football and with legitimate advertising, etc., at a certain point, people are going to say, wait a minute, why is there even a whiff of a racket around this guy? And I understand that sensibility. And in fact, it's not just stuff that happens that would be illegal were it happening, but several years ago, St. Vincent's Hospital, that was being financially run terribly, apparently, and St. Vincent's Hospital is right in my neighborhood. Downtown New York, right across the street from where I went to elementary school, PS 41. I was in that emergency room, before. St. Vincent's Hospital was an institution in the neighborhood. And it's not that Eli Manning was the reason that they had to close down, but he was receiving payments to essentially promote the hospital. He wasn't doing it for free. He was getting paid a good amount of money. And ultimately, he said he'd forego the last $500,000 they owed him because they were in debt like $700 million, some crazy number, and eventually had to close down. And there was criticism at the time. Well, it's nice that you're giving up $500,000, but that's a lot of money. How much money have you already gotten from this hospital when you've essentially been advertising, when you have been advertising for them? And why are you taking money from a hospital, even if it's $1 million or whatever it is, and that's a lot of money, when you have a contract for $100 million? So it does add, without trying to smear someone and without attacking their reputation before the facts come out, it does add to an overall sense in the Manning family that they're very interested in earning a lot of money, and this is not a good look.
Go ahead, Will.
Well, whether or not they're interested in earning money, getting money, I think it's a little bit beside the point, Max. I appreciate much of what you said. Here's the deal. This is a big deal, potentially a very big deal. I think we're tempted, even I was tempted at the beginning to sort of scoff at this, like, what? A bunch of dorks were buying game-worn jerseys and it didn't have a sufficient amount of sweat on it, or the scratches were a little off on a helmet. I mean, but these words like game-worn or authentic or game-issued carry a lot of weight in the memorabilia collector market. And this is a big market. If you need to understand it, you don't have to go back very far. Tom Brady's stolen jersey was reportedly worth up to $500,000. Everybody's getting paid on this. Steiner Sports, the collecting company, they get paid. Eli's getting a big contract from them to provide game-worn equipment. And in the end, the collector that reportedly paid $4,300 for this helmet that he thinks was fraudulent and is suing the Giants and Manning, he paid big money, $4,300 for this helmet. And if it's all fake, and if it's all a fraud, that's a big deal. It says a lot of things about everyone potentially involved and their integrity. And if you still doubt me, know this. This was an FBI investigation. This carried, at that time, criminal punishment. It will not now. The statute of limitations in New York and New Jersey have passed. Now we're looking at a civil suit, suing Eli Manning, suing the Giants. Max, what I particularly appreciate, though, and I want to underline and echo, is we don't know. This has to play out. These are accusations. I won't impugn Eli's integrity right now, and I certainly won't impugn his family. You are not responsible for your brother's actions, nor are you responsible for your father's, nor your son's. You are your own man. We don't expand things to familial reputations based upon the actions of one or even two.
Will Kane, I completely agree with you, but I will say this. It does give us cause to pause, which I'm sure both of you are acknowledging. And as a result, it forces us to look at ourselves, even more so than the Manning family. We've got Archie Manning. Obviously, he's revered in NFL circles. Well, look at how Eli came into the league. He got drafted by the San Diego Chargers, forced his way out, and ultimately ended up getting picked up by the New York Giants because of his refusal to go and play for the San Diego Chargers. Had that been somebody else, how would they have been viewed? How would they have been talked about? What kind of reputation would they have? We obviously brought up Peyton Manning in the HGH, and then ultimately that case was dropped, like Molly just pointed out. Fair enough. But nevertheless, he was in the eye of the storm, and it was foreign to us because he was considered Teflon. How could anything negative be said about Peyton Manning? Because obviously he's the face of the National Football League. We have Eli Manning, who I've always liked. I remember I was subbing for the Michael Kay show, and he was a regular weekly guest on the show. And I'm sitting there, and the producers are rushing me to go to commercial break. And they're talking about, well, Eli's on the phone. I said, okay, I get his representative. They're like, no, it's Eli. Eli called in himself. He always calls in early. And Eli was literally waiting because he's always prompt. He's professional. He honors his commitments, et cetera, et cetera. These are the kind of things that have been said about him. And so because of that, there's this insatiable appetite to give them an edge, to recognize them for the better parts of themselves. And it may very all be accurate and well earned. But nevertheless, there are other things that come into question. You've got this coming into question, like you all just articulated. You had the Peyton Manning incident that came into question. One of the things that and I'm joking about it because it's funny to me, but I remember folks telling me all the time, you know how I get on athletes about staying off the weed. Somebody used to joke, a bunch of people used to joke at me, guys. They used to say, you'll never hear Eli Manning saying that because the second he went from Indianapolis to Denver, the first thing he did was invest in Papa John's Pizza. Why? Because supposedly, presumably, yeah, a lot of dudes that love weed, the first thing they want to eat is some pizza. I mean, these are the kind of things folks said. I don't know. I have no clue whether that's accurate or not. I have no clue.
No, let's move on from that.
I'm just telling you what they said. But the man invested in Papa John's Pizza. That's a fact,
Peyton,
okay?
Peyton, yeah.
Peyton Manning. I'm saying Peyton. Yeah. I'm saying Peyton.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
all I'm saying is when we're having a conversation about the Manning family, I respect them tremendously. I think they deserve it. I do think we need to wait to cast aspersions and place negative judgment upon them. But I do think it's incumbent upon us to look at ourselves as the fourth estate, as the institution that is the media, reminding ourselves yet again of our penchant to be a bit lax when it comes to people who are likable, but we're pretty dogged and tenacious when it comes to people we don't like.
Max, one thing, Max, before you go, because I want you to clarify this, because I don't think any of you actually answered the question. So are you looking at this family differently now?
I said no, by the way. I answered.
Max, are you looking at them differently?
No, I wouldn't say differently. I would say, and again, wait for the facts to come out. And Will, you're absolutely right. If this turns out to be, in fact, true, and you're defrauding people, that's really serious. It goes to integrity and all those things. And I think we look at people who show up on time and never miss a snap and all these kind of things as thinking that behavior will be consistent throughout their personality in a straightforward and ethical and upright way. And so we're surprised when that's not the case, if it's not the case here. What I would say, though, is it lends to an overall picture that the Mannings are, for lack of a better word, greedy. It's fine to make money. It's good to make money. It's American. It's admirable. Great. Go out and make money. But in Eli's case, this is an accusation that he is making money but not delivering the goods, and it's also memorabilia. It feels a little bit exploitative to begin with, and that's on top of his taking money from a hospital years ago that wound up going under to advertise the hospital. It feels like a guy who's making $100 million playing football is being greedy. That's what it feels like to people.
And just one small quick point. I think I ultimately agree with where you were, Stephen A. It just shows that no family and no individual is above the law and above scrutiny. And if I'm a New England Patriots fan right now, I'm going, I might like to see an NFL investigation. I've seen other quarterbacks and their equipment questioned. I'd like to see the NFL put a little resources into this as well.
He's been in the limelight his whole life. If this is the worst thing that he's ever done, I think his integrity is pretty impeccable. Will Cain will be back with us a little bit later.
But I thought the question was about the Manning family, Molly, not just Eli.
I'm just giving you my perspective on Eli. Coming up, James Harden's historic season will be to put the test in the first round when he faces off with Russell Westbrook and the Thunder. What will we learn from this matchup? Plus, the Celtics managed to snag the 1 seed in the East, but are they the most likely team to get upset in the first round? We'll break down the possible Cinderella stories.